Hey everyone, we're going to continue with this series where we apply bubble principles and explain how to use them in Toddle. Toddle, if you didn't know, is a front-end builder which is a next generation no-code builder which I am very keen on, and effectively I've switched all of my front-end development from Bubble to Toddle. And this is to help Bubble developers who are looking for an alternative, and I believe that Toddle is the best that's out there, although it still is early days for this tool. So in this one we're going to be looking at how can we apply conditionals, the concept of Bubble's conditionals into Toddle. So we all know what a conditional is in Bubble. It's in the conditional tab for each element on a page, and we've got things like is it hovered. We can look at other things as well. We get stuff like, is it a dark theme, for example, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this one. Is the theme nav dark? Is yes, and we set it to a different color, so we can use it to set light and dark themes in our app. Okay, so how can we apply that in Toddle? Because Toddle doesn't have a thing called a conditional. There isn't a direct equivalent, but how you do it is very similar to how Bubble does it, just in a different way, just a little bit of a tweak. So for example, let's take this block here, this header block, okay? And there are a couple of different ways that you can change the styles based on a particular condition. There are some built-in styles that we can change, and then there are ad hoc styles or style classes that you can set. So at the minute under style we've got default, and we can see that this is all of the standard types of settings that we can make on the element, in this case a div, which is equivalent of a group in Bubble. And so effectively that is the same as what we get in the appearance tab. All of these settings apply to the default style. But let's say that we wanted to, like this one where we've got a hovered. Okay, so what we do there in Toddle, that's a built-in style. So what we can do there is just add a style, and then we get all of these different types of states that we can add a style on, okay, based on the conditional. Is it hovered? Is it not hovered? You know, and all of it. Is it focused? Is it not focused? Okay. And interestingly enough, we've also got this viewport, because in Bubble we would generally do something like this, where we'd say the current page width is less than, and so on, and then we can set it to do something different, like set a different margin and so forth. So we can do this similar sort of thing in Toddle simply by giving it a minimum width and min max width, min height, min height, max height. Okay, so we can do a similar thing in that, but it's built into this one. So let's look at the hover effects. So if we click on the hover, and the way it works in Toddle now is that we can click on either of those. Whichever one we click on, all of these settings here apply. So we actually get a lot more granular control over the different settings that we can make, because in Bubble, when we're setting a conditional, we do get a lot of options and we get most of the settings, but we don't always get all of them. Whereas in Toddle, you get all of them. You get the default settings is no different to any other. So anything in here can be set based on a condition, and in this case, it's when it's hovered. So let's say, for example, on here that we're going to give it a border. So let's give it a border of 12 pixels. We will give it a border of all, and just let's set it to something like this. Solid 1 pixel, that will do. So when we run that, okay, and we hover over that group, we can see that pops up. Okay, so like I say, that's a built-in style that we can use in Toddle. That's effectively the equivalent of in Bubble saying, is this hovered? So let's just go back to what we were looking at before. Okay, so it's equivalent of saying when that's hovered. Okay, so what about ad hoc conditionals? Because obviously in Bubble we have this that's effectively saying if the user is using the dark theme, then change the color. What about that? That's an ad hoc conditional. So what we do there is we can create what we call style classes to deal with that. So what we can do is under attributes, we've got this option for classes, and we can add one, and we can say that we want to call this one, let's say, the dark theme. So with that class there, what we can do, we're going back into styling. We can actually click plus next to style, and then we can actually then get this drop down for class, and then we can select dark theme. Okay, and with this selected, then all of these, just like with the hover, all of these settings, all these properties become adjustable based on the dark theme setting. Now obviously what we do need to do is to say, well, okay, when is that dark theme applied, which is what the conditional is, isn't it? Is it when blah, then do this? Okay, so this here is equivalent of this. So there's just one extra step, which is creating the style class, and then we create the settings based upon if that style class, in this case the dark theme, is active. So what's the conditional that's going to trigger that? And that's where we go back to our dark theme here, and we click on this little formula here. So what I've got on here is I've got a variable called isDarkTheme. And by the way, if you've seen my previous videos, you'll notice that these types of things like your APIs, your variables, etc., did used to be on a tab on the left. Toddle have recently changed that so that these details are over here on the right hand side. So the point is, I've got a variable called isDarkTheme. Okay, so what I need to do then is to say, well, when does this style class get triggered? When, if the user is using the dark theme, this is when I want this class to apply, this style class. And so what I do then is I can simply say isDarkTheme. So that's going to be true if they are on the dark theme. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run it, and I'm just going to change the into the light theme because I don't want that by default. And so if I pick this here, now I can go and set what styles actually change when this dark theme style is applied. So I'll go to dark theme, and I'll just set a different background color to be a dark color. These are all customizable, by the way. You don't have to set them. You can just use a different color, whichever one you want to use. And they are updating their themes, which I'll probably do a video on at some point. So let's set it to this color here, and that is going to be then used when the dark theme is active, and the dark theme is active when this condition is met. In other words, that isDarkTheme is true. Okay, so if we run that now, we can see it's just normal. So when we click theme, we can see that this goes dark. So that's a quick explanation on how to use conditionals in Toddle. I hope that you get something from it, and you realize actually conditionals are a thing in Toddle. It's just done in a different way, using different style classes and putting the condition in a formula on a style class, which tells it when to apply it or not. Listen, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you got anything from this video. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching again, and take it easy.